And welcome to my next Let's Play, which is not the final playthrough of Castlevania 3, as some might have thought. I'm going to do a different game in between it, just so I don't, spam the channel with nothing but Castlevania 3 for a while. This is Dynamite Headdy, a fairly obscure platformer for the Sega Genesis. This game really, it got a lot of critical praise, but not a lot of people know about it that much. And I'd like to say I'd like to show a lot of people about the game, but I don't have that much of a following. Oh well, it's more about the fun. Anyway, the game starts off with sort of an intro roll. But basically the entire game takes place on a play. It sort of plays with that concept for a little bit of humor. And it's just basically introducing the various characters at the bottom. And even the main character himself is a puppet. And even the final boss of the game, who is Dark Demon, is also a puppet. So, you know. And Heady's captured. But that won't last for long. Yeah, you see, you're ugly, so you're getting dumped. That's how the world works. Oh no, but not her. No. Of course not. And there's our hero. Dumped into a trash can. Now, I know this is just a video game, but I'd like to... My inner cynic would like to imagine that's a metaphor for life. But yeah, he breaks free and we start off the game. And one thing you'll notice, if you're somewhat pop culture savvy, is that all the level names are basically puns off of famous movies and stuff, so... I don't recognize most of them, but some of them I do, so... Anyway, we have an auto-scrolling section. I don't mind this because there's really no threat involved in it, even though I tend to despise auto-scrolling levels. You can damage this robot here. You don't need to. He will never attack you, and he'll go away after a while, but I'm doing it anyway, just to show off something. And the announcer there just said I got a secret bonus point. Well, what are secret bonus points? Well, they're kind of pointless, really. Ah ha ha ha, you know, pun. But, basically, secret bonus points are acquired through doing various things. They do not add anything to the game. You do not get any kind of secret ending or anything for getting them all. And some of them are quite tedious, so I am not going for all the secret bonus points. I will get as many as I can, but, like, one of the very last ones in the game requires you to go through a whole boss fight without being touched, which is kind of ridiculous, so... Anyway, we have our first real boss fight. Trouble Brewing. One interesting thing about the Japanese version of the game is that a lot of these fireballs don't even hurt you. They do here. That's one difference between the American and the Japanese version, is they really ramped up the difficulty for the American version. Why am I not playing the Japanese version? Well, mostly nostalgia. I played this game when I was a kid. I didn't really play the Japanese version, so yeah. Another thing is that bosses have like a text introduction. Like they'll say a couple lines to Heady, but they're kind of generic and they don't really matter that much. There is a translation patch for the game, which is basically the Japanese game with the text boxes translated into English. I did play it before, but I didn't care for it that much. It's weird that they cut out all those text boxes and didn't bother to translate them, but it's not a big deal for me because this is obviously not a plot-heavy game, so no harm, no foul as far as I'm concerned. But I know some people are kind of angry about that. Anyway, we have something optional. I could choose to ignore this, but I'm going to do it just because. You see those text boxes there? It's like that, but with each boss getting one. Again, if you really want to see them, you can play the fan translation. It's on the internet somewhere. I'm not going to post a link because, you know, emulation and stuff, but it's there. That's what Google's for. And to steal your data, but that's another thing entirely. And we get introduced to what makes Headdy special. He gets different heads, which have different powers. The previous one was, I don't remember the specific names of them, but I know their general purpose. There's the vacuum head. The one where you're clear, it makes you invincible, so that's a very useful one. It doesn't pop up all that often in the game, though. I forget what that one's called, but it's very useful. It shoots stars out everywhere. You can damage enemies just by standing still. The number in the top right is how many enemies are left to go. This is basically a tutorial meant to show you how to, just use your powers and stuff. What I like about this, though, it's entirely optional, so you don't need to use it at all. I mean, you can completely skip this and lose nothing, especially if you know what you're doing. I'm going through this just because. I mean, that's why this level is called Practice Area. And next we got round 2 of the tutorials. Hangman. And yet another auto-scrolling level. Don't worry, after this I think there's only one more auto-scrolling level. That's obviously not including the random shoot-'em-up levels. Yes, this game is shoot-'em-up levels. It's a treasure game, what'd you expect? Those red things damage you, so avoid them. Basically, you use Hangman to jump up higher than you can normally. One interesting thing about the physics is you can grab onto them not just from directly below, but at diagonal and horizontal angles, and it can affect your jump. That really doesn't come into play as far as how the game's levels are designed, but it is something interesting to note. There's only, I think, one time in the game it can even be useful for speedrunning purposes. Of course, I've never actually watched a speedrun of this game, so I'm probably talking out of my ass. I don't know. I do like how the background transitions from like day to night. I always like it when games do that. There's just something about a night sky that looks so cool. And it's funny I say that because I'm recording this at precisely 4:30 in the morning. Go figure. And normally you're not supposed to be able... Headdy's supposed to be frozen when he gets on that goal, but that's a little glitch. It's completely harmless, but I find it amusing nonetheless. And that's the second one done. You can't talk to any of these people going around, they're just there. We have, I think it's probably the hardest one to actually complete. Oh, and completing each of these gets you a secret bonus point, if that wasn't apparent. Anyway, you have to destroy each of these as she points them out. When you get into real boss fights, like the main boss fights, not just the ones against Trouble Bruin, Bo will be there to point out the boss's weak point. This really isn't all that useful because it's usually pretty obvious anyway. So, there is one instance I do find it rather amusing. I think in one of the boss fights, Bo gets shaken away at the last moment, which I actually thought was kind of funny because I find Bo's existence to be pointless. This gets faster and faster and faster, so you probably need good reflexes to keep up with this. I've played this game so many times. I've pretty much memorized this, but you can miss some and still actually pull this off, but you can't really miss too many times. And it should be noted, you only get one chance at completing these. If you're going for like all the secret bonus points, if you screw it up, you don't get a second shot at it. You have to reset the game to try again. And that's the case with a lot of secret bonus points in this game. They're pretty much one-shots. Anyway, that level's over with. I'm pretty sure that's a pun on Boys in the Hood. I'm not exactly sure, though. Anyway, I think this is really our first real level, because the other was a practice area and the other was just an auto-scrolling area. I like that clock is moving in the background. And I've never actually done that in the game before. I didn't know you could get that platform stuck in the wall. And now we have my favorite head in the game, the Hammerhead. Why? It does double damage. That's really all you need to know, is that it does double damage. That automatically makes it the best head in the game. And there's the triple head, which is kind of useless because you can never actually align 3 hits at once with the thing. So it's like there's no real point to it. But, that Dynamite Headdy Now on sale sign, I get it's supposed to be cute, but why would you advertise your own game in your own game? I mean, are they trying to be meta or something? It just seems kind of pointless to me. Sorry about that. Yeah, the little headies are 1-ups. There's not too many in this game, so if you see one, you should probably pick it up. Anyway, we have the bonus game. I am only showing this bonus game once. It appears up to 4 times in the entire game. If you do what it says, which is get enough shots in this game, you get a digit. The digit is for a secret level once you've beaten the game. This digit is randomized. The secret passcode is randomized every time you play, so you can't use the one I get. I'm sorry, it just won't work. I wouldn't worry about it if you're playing this game. It's not a big deal. Oftentimes, when I play this game, I skip this entirely. Because the secret at the end really isn't worth it. And each time you complete this, the next one you go to increases the number of shots you have to make by a factor of 5. So the next time it's 10, then 15, then finally 20. This makes the later bonus stages exponentially longer. It just takes... The last one took, in recording, like 6 minutes to finish. I'm not going to sit there forever doing that. So I'm editing them out. So aren't you glad? Anyway, this is... I forgot the name of it. I think it's the Herculean head. I haven't read the manual in years. But it basically makes you twice as fast. It doesn't make you hit twice as fast, unfortunately. That's what the hammerhead's for. But, you know, having a little bit of speed's nice. Though it's very rare. This is maybe like one of only, I think, 2 or 3 spots in the entire game that pops up. So, that is an issue I have with this game. Is that you have a lot of cool heads, but a lot of them don't pop up all that often. Now you got one of 2 choices. You can take the spike head and take this upper path, or the mini head and take the lower path. If you take the lower path, you can skip a boss fight, so if you're new to the game, you might want to do that. But if you're like me, I'm not going to, because I want to show off the boss fight. There's really nothing special to the bottom area, so... I do like to give you a choice in that, in between heads. You know, if you take one head, you can go one way. If you take the other head, you go the other way. So I know some people have complained that the spike head's difficult to grab onto walls and ceilings with, but you know, you don't have a time limit in this game, so you can just take your time and practice it, and you'll eventually get it down. Anyway, with this boss, you can't damage him until you take out all his scales, so focus on that. And we have the time freezer head thingy. It rarely pops up, but if you do see it, it's pretty useful. Anyway, when the boss is shooting out the fire, it's completely invincible, so bear that in mind. But yeah, you can easily defeat him. And you get a secret bonus point for killing him, even though secret bonus points are kind of pointless in this game. Pointless. I'm such a horrible person, I swear. I like how Trollbrune just gets crushed nonchalantly there. Anyway, this is the first real boss. As I said before, Bo will point out the weak point, even though I thought it was pitifully obvious where the weak point was, even the first time I played this game. Anyway, for this strategy, I prefer the Hammerhead, just because double damage. You know, you really can't go wrong with that. This boss will attempt to throw random obstacles at you, but they're easily avoided. One thing that can be useful is the freezer head in this boss fight. Also, if you get the free shot at a wrong moment, you can simply cancel it with, I think it's the A button. But yeah, you have a cancel button that works for most heads. Anyway, when a legitimate boss is killed, it'll release all these debris. Collect at least 75% of them, and you'll get an extra continue. This is useful because this game is kind of hard. It doesn't look like it right yet, but this game can kick your ass, especially in the later portions. Of course, getting these continues is quite difficult, so... And I missed a secret bonus point. But I'm not going for all of them, so... doesn't bother me that much. And we have who I think is supposed to be Heady's girlfriend. She basically takes all the keys that the bosses leave. Anyway, that's the end of this part, and I'll see you guys next time.